Hey, everybody. I am coming to you in a recording because I have been so remiss on Substack. Aside from notes, which I've been trying to keep up with, not doing a very good job, but I have barely been posting and for very good reason, for very positive reasons. But rather than writing an epically long, overwritten piece, which I tend to do, I thought maybe I would record myself and deliver kind of an update in a more human way for now. So settle in, maybe adjust the speed to like double or quadruple just to get through this. But anyway, I thought I would share with you what's been going on and what's to come because there's some wonderful things that will impact you. And I'm so excited to share them with you. So I'm going to try to be as rapid fire as possible. And I've got notes because I don't want to forget anything. And there's a lot. There's a lot. It's a very exciting time for the Writers Haven community. And you are the reason. All of you are reason. And whether you are a free subscriber, follower, paid subscriber, founding member, I thank you for being here. And yeah, so let's get into it. So the last month and a half, almost 2 months, I've been traveling nonstop. 95% of it has been writing related. Starting with June 5th, I was in Wichita Falls, Texas for the inaugural Storyteller Sessions event. I was their headliner, which was the honor of a lifetime to go and tell what ended up being the most embarrassing story of my life. I'd considered telling that story at the Moth Grand Slam, and I chickened out years ago. And when Derek Schneider invited me to headline Storyteller Sessions in Wichita Falls, I just thought, I'll be 1,000 miles away from anybody that I know. I'm going to go for it. And I did it, and it felt amazing. So there'll be a storytelling workshop that I'll be offering soon. And if you are a part of that, you'll get to hear that lovely, mortifying story. Okay. And on June 12th, I went to Madison, Wisconsin for our dear friend's wedding, but had just an unexpected, um, beautiful reunion with a family member. And we talked at length about losing my late sister, Beth. And for so many reasons, it was just, it was the kind of connection that I ached for and didn't even know existed. And I'll be writing about that too. But it really was sort of a healing moment in my grief journey. And we lost Beth more than 8 years ago now. And grief never goes away, as most of you know. It's just constantly changing. And I have a note that I wrote to myself that maybe I'll just share right now. Um, I wrote I wrote this in May, actually, before I even went to Madison, but just some scrappy notes that I wrote down that grief is inevitable and that we really, as humans, live between periods of grief. So if you haven't been touched by grief yet, consider yourself the luckiest person on earth because we all will be touched by grief. And to me, happiness and peace are sort of the pre and post grief periods. I wish I'd learned that earlier in my life because when you frame it that way and realize that grief will come for us and that those periods before and after grief and the wave of grief sort of washes over us, those are those are life's shimmering moments. Those are the gifts in life rather than seeing grief as interrupting the life we're meant to live. If we think about life as and the inevitability of grief, I don't know. It puts things in a perspective that make grief a bit easier to digest. Really, I also wrote to myself that grief is what defines and shapes us. It makes us grow or not. So I've really come to the conclusion that dealing with grief, facing it, talking about it, processing it is these are necessary things, and the avoidance of it is a very natural thing to do. It's painful, it's hard, it's agonizing, it's overwhelming, it's exhausting, and it's necessary. So whether you process grief with a trusted person or a one-on-one therapist or in a grief group or through your writing, um, you know, taking steps to address and deal with your grief are so important. And then finally, I just scribbled down how we process and metabolize grief sets the tone for our lives. So, excuse me. Anyway, random thoughts. Okay. Um, so speaking of grief, the weekend of June 19th, I headed to Sedona, Arizona and Carefree, Arizona, where I started scouting locations for the next Right to Heal retreat. I held one in 2023 at Savannah Wellness Resort and Spa in Carefree, Arizona, and it was so well received. I learned so much in that first retreat for the Right to Heal workshops that I lead, and expressive writing for emotional healing was really at the core of that retreat. So now we're expanding the retreat and making it an even bigger, more accessible event. It's likely going to be in late 2027 or early 2028, but more on that to come. So then the weekend of 4th of July kind of kicked off 2 weeks of house guests in our home, which was phenomenal. So wonderful to have our friends staying with us from Sweden. You know who you are. We love you. Um, so that just filled our hearts. And July 9th, July 9th was kind of what I feel like was one of the highlights of my entire writing career, let alone life, aside from having children and finding the love of my life, Eric, later on, and finding my sister, Lisa, later in life. This launch event for the anthology Relative Strangers was, I'm still not really fully processed with it, but it was a beautiful event led by BK Kate Jackson, who edited Relative Strangers, which is right there. That just came out on June 23rd. And it's a collection of 28 essays by people like me who've had a DNA surprise. And so 5 of us contributors spoke about the essays that we wrote and the impact and the fallout of writing about discovering relatives through a DNA surprise, whether it's that we were donor conceived or that we found out about an affair that was previously unknown, or we took a DNA test, spit into a tube, and learned that we had relatives. It was such an eye opening, cathartic, family building event. And there will be more events around the book coming up. So they're listed on my notes on Substack, but that being together with this family of other people who've had a DNA surprise was, I can't even. So check out the book. If you or anybody that you know has taken a DNA test and realized you have people in your life that you didn't know about, this really gives language to that seismic experience. So today is July 16th, and I am just now feeling like I'm catching my breath. The house guests have all gone back home. The laundry's in the machine. Um, the suitcases have been unpacked. I'm catching up on client work and invoicing and all of the things. And it feels nice to just be back in my chair, surrounded by my books in my office. Restarting client meetings. I've missed them so much. But I have a ton of exciting news to share about things that are coming up. So in the fall and in the winter, I've been invited to teach 5 classes at Northwestern's Norris University Center. And just, I wanted you to save the date if any of these appeal to you. So I'll be teaching two expressive writing for emotional healing workshops. One is on October 17th. The other is on January 30th. They're both in person from 1 to 4 p.m. Central. So mark your calendar for those. There'll be registration links to come. I'll also be teaching a 6-week memoir course at Norris Center it's on Thursday nights. I think we'll do 6:30 to 8:30, or maybe it's 6 to 8, from October 8th until November 12th. Excuse me. And then I'll also be teaching two different 5-hour day long workshops. One is called The Everyday Entrepreneur. And that's a class that I was asked to teach because since the pandemic, I have built from scratch and grown a literary center, Writers Haven, into a 6-figure business without an MBA, without an MFA, without having taken an accounting class, or yeah. So how did I do that? I talk about that in this workshop, which is for anybody who wants to build a business from something that they're passionate about. So that will be February 27th, I think I mentioned, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in person. And then there's also going to be one on actually November 7th, and it's called Set Up Your Substack Boot Camp. So I do not pretend to be a Substack guru. Let's make this clear. But um, I do know a bit about Substack after having joined it in 2021. And gosh, I've learned so much. And the platform has changed so much, and it will continue to change, hopefully, in all of the great ways that it already has. So this is a chance if you've been dabbling in Substack, if you want to kind of expand it, if you're, overwhelmed by it, join this. Bring your laptop, November 7th from 10 to 3 at Northwestern. It's sure to be a lovely way to connect with other writers, other Substackers, and um, kind of build your own little corner of the internet. Okay, another really exciting thing that's coming up is that I was invited by the 92nd Street Y in New York City to teach a course on contemporary memoir. And when they first approached me, I was like, me? That's kind of how I feel about most things in life. And yet, I really do believe that it's important to try to do something that scares the shit out of you every single day. So I said yes. And I've been building the curriculum, and it's been just such a joy and challenging and exciting and interesting. So that is coming up sometime. Do I know when it is? Um, in January, and there'll be more information coming out about that. But that will be virtual and available to all. And I'm just trying to nail down the ideal timing and dates, but I've got the books already identified and the discussion points. And so I really hope you'll consider joining us for that. Okay. What's another thing that's coming up? I am looking to hire a virtual assistant to help me run Writers Haven because I've been doing this completely on my own. I'm also looking to bring some developmental editors onto my team. I've been working with a few amazing developmental editors, and now I'm at the point where I desperately need more because the work just keeps flowing in, and there are so many people who have important stories that there just isn't enough time in the day for me to tackle them all. And so I need help. So reach out, message me, or go to my website, christinewolf.com, and go to the contact page and let me know if you're interested in any of those things. Let's see, more updates. I submitted two proposals to the Association of Writers and Writing Programs, also known as AWP, for their annual conference in 2027, which will be in my hometown of Chicago. Yes. So we learn in August next month which proposals have been accepted. And I'm realistic enough to know that the chances of me getting even one of my two proposals accepted are pretty low. There are so many that are submitted each year, but my fingers are crossed for both because I'm so passionate about both. One of them is called Fear of Fallout, and it's a discussion with some of my fellow contributors to Relative Strangers, um, just about our fear of fallout, writing about long held family secrets, and as writers, uh, kind of gearing yourself up for that challenge, and all the risks and the pitfalls and the fears that come with that. The other proposal is a discussion with the pioneer of expressive writing, Dr. James Pennebaker. I have incorporated so much of Dr. Pennebaker's research into my own professional life, into my personal life. The power of expressive writing for emotional healing is really at the core of the work that I do. And it kind of always has been, but to have stumbled into the actual science of it that Pennebaker has been writing about and documenting since 1986 has just been such a gift to realize. So anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing whether those proposals were accepted or not in August. Okay, another update. So, my stance on AI has been forming and evolving. And this is kind of a developing topic, and it's a pretty tender topic and controversial for sure. But after having previously dabbled, as most of us have, with AI and seeing so many of my memoir clients dabbling in it and sometimes even using it to egregious levels, saying that they're not using AI and then using it. Um, I have come to the conclusion that, and I've written it into my contract as a policy, that we are an AI free relationship, my clients and I. And I am doing everything I can to not use AI in my writing, my editing, my planning. And I know that that's a really, it's a hot button. It's again controversial. It's unpopular with many, and probably even a bit unrealistic because AI is indeed everywhere, right? Um, but what I've increasingly seen is the level of use of AI in writing that is really deeply concerning. And so I'm doing what I can to be a part of stepping that back. Again, I have dabbled in it. I have tried it out. I've used it in my own writing. I've, talked to my clients about their use of it. I can't control what other people do, of course. Um, but having used it, and I don't regret having used it because I've now been able to sort of understand and recognize a lot of AI's signs and the tells and the signals that it's being employed, which is helpful because I can see it, and it's concerning. There's there are so many people who've been hurt by AI, particularly authors whose work has been stolen by it. But also just this, don't even get me started on what AI is doing to the environment. I mean, that is hands down the biggest reason why I'm um, so deeply concerned, but also the dumbing down of our brains, right? It's so easy and intoxicating to quickly get an answer, right? Rather than allow our brains to think through things and process. I'm also very realistic about the idea that AI has its undeniable merits, right? I mean, it's helping science advance in ways that our human brains cannot process fast enough. It's coming up with answers and solutions, particularly medical solutions and other solutions that the human brain would take years, decades, generations to figure out. So it's an evolving topic, but um, for me as a writer and writing coach, I'm challenging my clients and myself to avoid AI in our work. Um, More on this later. But speaking of timely and provocative topics, this fall, I'm going to be launching something called Writers Haven Huddles. And this is a concept that I've been thinking about for a while because, in addition to the writing that I will be getting back to on Substack, not just on notes, but in my posts, I realized that our community, having grown to over 3,000 subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I would really love to engage with you more. And so these huddles, as I envision them, will be a weekly offering and they'll vary by week. So one week each month, we'll have an Ask Me Anything huddle. And these, I think, are going to be mostly Substack lives. So I will appear with maybe a guest speaker or two. And there will be one week will be an Ask Me Anything huddle. Another week will be a craft lesson. Another one will be a grief gathering. I take such solace in being with others to witness their grief and to have them witness mine. Um, Grief can be so unpredictable, but having a predictable time that we can gather to just address, acknowledge, witness um, our own and each other's grief, I think is really important. So that will be one of our Writers Haven huddles. And then a couple of others will be a news and inspiration huddle where we can share our own victories and struggles and uh, bits of inspiration and motivation with each other. And then finally, when there's a month that has 5 weeks instead of four, I'm thinking of adding a storytelling huddle in which we talk about the craft of live storytelling and maybe even share some live storytelling bits, kind of like the moth, but I don't know. I'm still working through how that will look and how we can engage with each other, but these are all just marinating in my mind and they will be part of huddles. So I'm so excited about the huddles, and you'll be getting more information about those too. You'll be asked to weigh in on topics and be part of the conversation. Absolutely. That's the whole point of it. Finally, at long last, my self guided memoir course should release this fall. And it's been such a labor of love to put it together, and I'm thrilled to offer it um, at an early bird discount uh, to those who sign up at christinewolf.com/memoir dash course. Or just go to christinewolf.com and you'll find the self-guided memoir course. But there's a sign up, so if you do sign up, you'll receive an early bird discount access to it, so that I'd love your feedback on it. And the reason that I've put it together is because the number of people who've approached me about coaching has exceeded my own personal capacity, thus needing to bring more people on to Writers Haven to help me. But I really didn't want people to just go off and try to do this on their own, because writing memoir is really, no matter if you're a pantser or a plotter, there are certain craft elements and also bits of motivation that can really make or break your process. And so I've tried to cull together all of the most impactful learning that I've collected and put it all in one place for you, so that even though I'm not taking new clients right now, if you go through the self guided memoir course, you're ahead of the game, ahead of most people who first approach me. And, maybe when I have slots opening up, if you've got the course under your belt, if we decide to work together, we'll hit the ground running. So stay on the lookout for that. So I think that's everything. Gosh, that's so much. Thank you for listening to this. My goodness. Um, I appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of this. Again, um, free subscribers, I appreciate you. Paid subscribers, I appreciate you. Followers who are just sort of like dabbling and lurking a little bit. Thank you. Welcome to Writers Haven. Thank you for making this such a wonderful community. And I'll be reaching out to you with more information very soon. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular that really grabbed you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Okay. Bye.